Well, as we mentioned earlier in the program, Congress continues to struggle to craft a new farm bill. Following the so-called Congressional Supercommittee and its inability to reach a budget agreement on all things fiscal, farmers were left frustrated and out in the cold without a farm bill. As This Week in Louisiana Agriculture's A.J. Sabine tells us, farmers are hoping for some movement on that law soon.
Farmers from across the country tune in to American Farm Bureau Senior Director of Congressional Relations, Mary Kay Thatcher. She relates how direct payments will likely be cut because of the looming federal budget deficit. Since the Congressional Supercommittee failed to come up with a plan to solve the national debt crisis, Thatcher says Congress would have little time to get the Farm Bill done before the August recess.
Because it's a presidential election year and a congressional election year, that our time frame will be shortened. So we'll probably start in earnest about the 1st of February, and I think if we haven't finished this thing by the time they go home for the August recess, it probably isn't going to happen this year.
Which is problematic, because there will likely be even less money in the federal budget for a workable ag safety net in 2013 than there is now. However, crop insurance has become a big part of the equation. Many farmers in this room want a plan that protects them against shallow and catastrophic crop losses. Farm Bureau senior economist John Anderson says finding a one-size-fits-all plan will be difficult, especially for rice growers in a hurricane zone.
Rice is a unique crop in terms of its production system and also to some extent in terms of its market. On the production side, we tend not to have a lot of major yield losses in rice because it's an irrigated crop. We do have some prevented planting issues from time to time early in the season, but once the crop is established, we tend not to have major yield losses, and that's a different situation than we have for most crops. So, I think our goal, whether we're talking about SRRP or whether we're talking about crop insurance more generally, is to try to work to continually improve the offerings that are available to rice to make them more appropriate for those production systems.
Still, high commodity prices and congressional dysfunction could make it difficult for policymakers to come up with an equitable ag safety net. Thatcher recommends that every farmer get involved, especially on issues like conservation compliance.
The environmental groups, the conservation groups, they really see that if we're not going to have direct payments anymore, it's going to be hard to make sure that we have farmers continuing to comply with conservation practices. And so they're going to try to link it to crop insurance purposes. And that's really difficult, because what happens if we get a year where you get a 100-year flood and you're out of compliance all of a sudden through, no fault of your own? Well, all of a sudden crop insurance isn't available to you. Is your banker going to lend to you if you can't have crop insurance?
Many of these conferees came to Hawaii to get answers to many of their Farm Bill questions. But with so much uncertainty, farmers will have to wait and see what becomes of their ag safety net. On Oahu, I'm A.J. Sabine for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Now, one of the major changes in the new farm bill could be the elimination of direct payments to U.S. cotton growers. Cotton farmers across the country say they are willing to trade those direct payments for a comprehensive crop insurance program that could protect them in the event of weather-related losses.